At 2 a.m., my boyfriend, Ethan Carter, rushed into my sister Chloe's bedroom shirtless. He scooped our crying, hungry nephew Leo into his arms. With his other hand, he casually pinched Chloe's cheek. How many times do I have to tell you? I'll soothe Leo at night. Stop trying to do everything yourself. Then he turned to look at me, the warmth on his face instantly freezing over. And you, Vivian. You know Chloe is still recovering. Why aren't you helping with Leo? Go make him a bottle of formula now. My fingers gripped the doorframe tightly. I couldn't say a single word. Chloe playfully slapped his chest. I'm engorged in the middle of the night, Ethan. If I don't feed him, are you going to massage my breasts when I get mastitis? I am your girlfriend's older sister after all. Watch out, or I won't let Vivian marry you. Ethan didn't back down. He reached out to tickle her waist, though his eyes remained on me. Vivian, what are you standing there for? Go make some warm chicken soup for Chloe to rebuild her strength. Chloe laughed and shrunk into his chest. Baby Leo was squeezed between them, babbling happily. They looked exactly like a happy family of 3. Since he wanted so badly to be my sister's husband, I decided to find myself a new one. I took out my phone, scrolled to a chat history I hadn't opened in a long time, and sent a message. You once said if I wasn't married by 30, you'd marry me. Does that still stand? The reply came instantly. Always. Anytime. I quietly put down the baby bottle Ethan had shoved into my hands and turned to leave. Behind me, Chloe let out a soft gasp. Oh, stop it, I'm leaking. Hand Leo to me quickly. Ethan, looking annoyed yet fond, gently swatted Chloe's hip. How many times do I have to tell you? No breastfeeding. Your body is already weak. If you don't listen, I'll really have to punish you. Chloe covered her chest in mock embarrassment. Ethan didn't even look at me. He sat beside her, carefully patting the baby to feed him. He didn't seem to care at all that he was still shirtless. Without turning his head, he ordered me. Vivian, hurry up and make Leo's formula, then get the soup simmering. Make sure it's perfect, or this little greedy cat here will find another excuse not to drink it. Chloe blushed, playfully pulling his ear. Ethan, I think I need to teach you some manners today. Ethan's eyes were full of tenderness as he reached out to tickle her waist again. The two of them carried on, laughing and fooling around, with Leo giggling in the middle. Finally, he noticed I was still standing in the doorway. His face darkened instantly. Why are you still standing there like a statue? Can't you see Leo is crying his eyes out? I stared at them silently for 2 seconds. He was holding Leo, Chloe was leaning against his shoulder, and the 3 of them were huddled close. It was a perfectly harmonious picture. I turned around and walked out, opening the front door. A handsome face appeared in the hallway. Julian Vance was leaning against the wall, looking at me with a half smile. Wow. Did you get kicked out of your own place in the middle of the night again? Come on in. Let me play the hero today. I followed him into his apartment. If I remember correctly, this is the 9th time you've walked out, right? I didn't say anything. I took the mug of hot tea he handed me and stared at the rising steam. My mind was filled with everything that had happened over the last 3 months. When my sister got divorced and had nowhere to go with her baby, my heart softened. I let her move in. But within a month, I became the outsider in my own home. On our anniversary, a date I had been looking forward to for a week, Ethan sent me a text. Leo has a fever. I'm taking Chloe and him to the ER. Might not make it back tonight. I sat in the restaurant alone, staring at the candle for 2 hours. When I got home, I saw Ethan crouching on the living room floor, clapping his hands. Se dada, se dada. Leo opened his little mouth and mumbled. Duh, duh. Ethan smiled so wide his eyes crinkled, and he lifted the baby high above his head. I stood at the doorway, not even having changed out of my shoes yet. Chloe saw me and smiled warmly. Vivian, I've tested him for you. Ethan is definitely a family man. He's going to be great with kids in the future. She winked at me as she spoke. I twitched my lips but didn't reply. Chloe probably noticed my unhappiness. Her face stiffened, and she suddenly picked up Leo and started packing her bags. Fine. I guess we are in the way here. We'll leave. Ethan immediately stopped her. Where are you going alone with a baby? Do you have any idea how dangerous it is out there? Chloe cried, saying she didn't need his help. I'm your sister's boyfriend. It's my duty to protect you and the baby. Just stay here. Don't go anywhere. Over and over again this happened. The warmth in my heart turned lukewarm, then cool, and today, it had gone completely cold. Snapping out of my memories, I spoke softly. Let's get married. Julian trembled. The hot tea splashed onto his hand, making him hiss in pain. But he didn't even care about his hand. He stared at me blankly, as if he had misheard. Are you serious? Yes. He set his mug on the table and nodded vigorously. Okay, we'll go to City Hall the day after tomorrow. I pushed open the door to my apartment. Ethan and Chloe were still messing around. You're basically a guy in my eyes. Who would even want you? Chloe joked. She puffed out her chest. Are you blind? I'm a 36E. You can't see that. Ethan looked her up and down, purposely scoffing. Are those even real? Chloe pounced on him, hitting him playfully while he laughed and dodged. Of course they're real. Squeezed between them, Leo let out a burst of giggles. I watched them quietly. Eventually they realized something was wrong. The laughter gradually died down. Chloe let go of him and smoothed her hair. Ethan also sobered up and cleared his throat. I turned and walked back into my room. The moment the door closed, I heard their whispered voices outside. Shoot, is Vivian mad? Don't worry about her. She'll get over it in a bit. I lay on my bed, staring at the ceiling. After what felt like forever, the door opened. Ethan walked in and sat on the edge of the bed. Vivian, it's not easy for your sister to raise a baby alone. You need to be more mature. Don't make things harder for her. I rolled over to face him. So you mean I should come home from working overtime in the middle of the night and still babysit for her? Don't you think I'm tired too? He scoffed. If you're that tired, just quit your job. It's not like I can't support you. Besides, it's better if you stay home to help with Leo. I opened my mouth, but suddenly, I had nothing left to say. A few days later, Ethan had a college reunion. Right after we sat down, Chloe showed up with Leo in her arms. Vivian, I'm so sorry. Leo kept crying for Ethan. He grew up without a father, so he probably views Ethan as his dad. As soon as Leo saw Ethan, he reached out his tiny hands. Dada hold. Ethan smiled, taking the baby and cradling him expertly in his arms. He glared at Chloe. Why did you bring the baby out all by yourself? You should have called me so I could pick you guys up. What if you hurt your back again? Chloe lowered her head, whispering, I didn't want to ruin your night. Ethan reached out with his free hand to pat her shoulder. Don't be silly. Seeing this, Ethan's old classmates started teasing him. Wow, Ethan. Living the dream, huh? 2 beautiful women by your side. Not bad, man. Chloe giggled, covering her mouth. Oh, stop. He's just being a gentleman. One classmate leaned in and asked, So Chloe, do you like guys like Ethan? Chloe stole a glance at Ethan and smiled. Him. Please. He's lazy and a glutton. The only thing he's good at is taking care of the baby. Ethan acted offended. Only good at that? Leo only sleeps when I put him down. Can you do that? I was just giving you a chance to show off. Chloe rolled her eyes. Oh, thank you so much then. Ethan joked back, making her laugh. They kept bantering back and forth, completely ignoring everyone else. I picked up my glass and downed the drink. Excuse me, I need to use the restroom. I stood up and walked out. At the end of the hallway, near the corner, I heard those familiar voices. You've been working too hard taking care of Leo. Your lips are so dry they're cracking. Hold still. Let me put some balm on for you. My footsteps froze. Around the corner, Chloe's lipstick was completely smudged. Ethan was wiping his own lips with a lingering look. Seeing me, Chloe froze for a second. Then she immediately grabbed my hand and complained. Vivian, thank God you're here. You need to talk to your boyfriend. He is so petty. I just teased him a bit, and he started lecturing me. Is it a crime to be a mother? As she spoke, her eyes welled up with tears. I said nothing. Back in the private dining room, everyone started playing drinking games. Chloe got super into it, but she kept losing. Soon, it was her turn to take a penalty shot. Just as she was about to grab the glass, Ethan slammed his hand over hers. Chloe is still breastfeeding. She can't drink. I'll drink for her. My best friend, Harper, slammed her fork down onto the plate. Ethan Carter, in what capacity are you drinking for her? The atmosphere instantly froze. Chloe bit her lip, her eyes turning red as she looked at Ethan with a pitiful expression. Ethan remained silent for a few seconds, then pushed the glass in front of me. I was going to drink for your sister, but since some people want to make a scene, you drink it. I picked up the glass and drank it all. Glass after glass followed. Chloe kept playing. She was terrible at the game but insisted on playing, losing round after round. Every time she lost, she would let out a whiny, oh no, and turn her eyes to Ethan. And Ethan would just push the alcohol in front of me. Drink. I lost count of how many glasses I had. My stomach felt like it was on fire, burning from my throat down to my gut. The lights in the room began to blur, and people's faces spun. Their laughter sounded muffled, like they were underwater. I slumped onto the table, digging my nails into my palms to stay conscious. No more. I really can't drink anymore. Ethan frowned. It's only been a few drinks. Don't be a party pooper. Another cold liquid forced its way down my throat. My stomach convulsed violently. A metallic, sweet taste rushed up. I covered my mouth, but I couldn't stop it. Bright red blood seeped through my fingers, dripping onto the white tablecloth, blooming like morbid flowers. Oh my God. She's coughing up blood. Quick. Get her to the hospital. Right at that moment, Chloe suddenly clutched her chest, groaning in pain. My mastitis is flaring up. It hurts so bad. Ethan pushed through the crowd, bent down, and scooped Chloe up in his arms. He walked out with giant strides. He didn't even look back at me once. The car we had bought together carried the three of them away, disappearing into the night. Everyone else had been drinking, so no one could drive. It took 2 hours for an Uber to arrive. By the time I was brought to the hospital, I was already unconscious. The diagnosis: acute alcohol poisoning and stomach bleeding. The nurse went through my phone, found my emergency contact, and called him repeatedly. Finally, the call went through. Ethan's irritated voice blasted through the speaker. Are you done yet? Chloe has a 101-degree fever. Do you have any idea how dangerous mastitis is? If you have time to throw a tantrum, go home and take care of Leo. The nanny's shift is over. Sir, your girlfriend has acute alcohol poisoning and a stomach bleed. We need a family member to sign. What kind of game is she playing now? She sees her sister get sick, so now she has to be sick too? I don't have time for her drama. Beep, beep, beep. The other patients and their families in the ER stared at me. Their eyes were filled with pity and sympathy. The next morning, the ward door was pushed open. Ethan walked in and grabbed my arm roughly. Let's go. Go apologize to Chloe. She was worrying about you even with a high fever, and here you are, playing the victim. He pulled me so hard the 4-needle almost ripped out of my skin. Let go of her. The nurse rushed over and pulled me back. The patient needs rest. Ethan sneered. Stop acting. Get out of bed and come apologize. I closed my eyes and gathered every ounce of strength I had left to say, let's break up. Ethan froze. Then he let out a cold laugh and slammed the door. What kind of nonsense is this? Don't use that to threaten me. A moment later, the door was pushed open again. Chloe was dragging Ethan in by his ear. Vivian, are you mad at him? Chloe twisted his ear while winking at me. He told me everything. He was just in a rush to save me and accidentally left you behind. This idiot doesn't have a brain. Don't take it personally. Ethan tilted his head to ease the pain, groaning ow ow, but a smile remained on his face. Chloe let go and smacked the back of his head. What are you standing there for? Apologize to Vivian. Why should I? You what? Chloe stood with her hands on her hips, her eyebrows raised. Vivian is your girlfriend. No matter how you look at it, you were in the wrong. I'm telling you, Ethan, no matter what, you must put Vivian first. Do you hear me? Ethan nodded repeatedly under her lecture. Yes, yes, my little manager. Whatever you say. Only then did he turn to me, his tone lazy and insincere. Vivian, if this ever happens again, I promise I'll save you first. Satisfied now? After that, he turned back to Chloe, his voice instantly softening. You should go back and rest. You still have a fever. It's going to hurt again if you leak. Chloe wanted to say something else, but he was already holding her shoulders, gently pushing her toward the door. He glanced back at me, his face filled with impatience. And you, if you're sick, just lie down and stop causing drama. Getting angry isn't going to help you recover, you know? I smiled slightly. I'm not angry. Really? Really? Chloe let out a sigh of relief, a pleased smile spreading across her face. That's good. Don't worry, Vivian, I'll keep an eye on him for you. I met the wrong man in the past and got hurt, so I have experience. I'll make sure he never treats you badly. The smile on my face deepened. Ethan casually asked, what do you want to eat? I'll have someone deliver it. Don't worry about it. I'll just grab whatever. Go help Chloe. She has the baby and needs you more. Ethan paused, seemingly surprised by my words. I added, I'm used to it. Those words seemed to prick him like a tiny thorn. He froze, staring at me for a few seconds. Then his expression relaxed. Good. You're finally growing up. Well, at least you learned a lesson from this. He had forced me to drink for Chloe, glass after glass. I drank until my stomach bled, throwing up blood, and was left waiting for an Uber for 2 hours. When I was brought to the hospital, the doctor said if I had been 10 minutes later, even God couldn't have saved me. I almost lost my life. And all I got in return was, you're finally growing up. If you can keep acting like this, mature and sensible, I might actually consider finding a good date to propose to you. Are you thrilled? I didn't say a word. He took my silence as being speechless with joy, nodded in satisfaction, and walked out supporting Chloe. The ward fell silent. I ripped the 4-needle out of my hand and began packing my things. 2 hours later, in front of City Hall, Julian Vance and I walked down the steps side by side, holding our marriage certificate. We ran straight into Ethan, who was holding Leo, with Chloe clinging to his arm. Vivian Miller, what are you doing here? I only said I'd consider proposing, and you rushed to City Hall? Are you that desperate? Julian reached out and wrapped his arm around my waist. Chloe's face fell. Vivian, what is wrong with you? Marriage is a serious thing. You and Ethan have been together for years. How can you throw yourself at another man right in front of him? You are embarrassing our family. Looking at Chloe's self-righteous face, I smiled. Oh, so you know that throwing yourself at a man is embarrassing? Then what do you call what you've been doing with your sister's boyfriend? Her face turned bright red instantly. She opened her mouth, but not a single word came out. Ethan's face darkened. Vivian, you don't even respect your own sister. If you marry into my family, are you going to treat my parents like this too? I was actually thinking that if you behaved yourself, I'd propose to you soon. But now it looks like we need to put that on hold. Go home and reflect on your actions. He finished speaking, lifting his chin, waiting to see me panic and beg for his forgiveness. Beside me, Julian pulled out our marriage certificate from his pocket and held it right in front of Ethan's face. Who gave you the right to bark at my wife? The red marriage certificate gleamed under the harsh sunlight outside City Hall. Ethan's eyes narrowed to tiny slits. He stared at the bold, stamped letters on the cover, his breath hitching. For a solid 10 seconds he didn't move, as if his brain refused to process the visual information in front of him. A fake. Ethan let out a sudden, forced laugh, though his hands trembled as he reached out to snatch the booklet. Vivian, what kind of ridiculous stunt is this? You hired a guy to print a fake marriage license just to get a reaction out of me. Julian didn't pull back. He let Ethan read every single word, the official state, seal, the registration number, Vivian's name, and his own. Chloe leaned over Ethan's shoulder, her eyes widening in genuine panic as she scanned the document. When her gaze landed on Julian's name, Julian Vance, her face turned ghost white. Julian Vance, Chloe stammered, her voice dropping an octave. As in, Vance International? The Vance family? She looked up at Julian, taking in his tailored suit, his luxury watch, and the effortless, towering aura of authority he possessed. In comparison, Ethan, standing in his wrinkled shirt, holding a crying baby with messy hair, looked like an absolute clown. Vivian. Ethan's voice cracked, turning high-pitched and hysterical. He shoved the certificate back into Julian's chest. Are you out of your mind? We've been together for 4 years. You walked out of the hospital this morning and married someone else. For years. Vivian finally spoke. Her voice was ice-cold, completely flat, devoid of any anger, grief, or longing. Ethan, we broke up last night while I was coughing up blood on an ER bed while you were screaming at the nurse because Chloe had a mild fever. I was helping your sister. Ethan yelled, stepping forward, his face flushed red. She's family. How can you be so narrow-minded, so petty, so heartless? If helping family means wiping your lips after kissing her, touching her waist, and leaving your girlfriend to die of alcohol poisoning, Julian interrupted smoothly, his gray eyes flashing with a lethal coldness, then your definition of family belongs in a dumpster. Chloe's body jolted. She swallowed hard, her face turning red and then pale in rapid succession. Julian. Mr. Vance, you've got it all wrong. Vivian is misunderstanding things. Ethan and I are completely innocent. I don't care what you two are. Julian cut her off, not even bothering to glance at her. He placed a warm, protective hand on the small of Vivian's back, pulling her close against his side. What I do care about is that from this second onward, Vivian Miller is Mrs. Vance. If either of you dares to step within 3 feet of her again, I won't just take away your dignity, I'll take away everything you own. Julian didn't give Ethan a chance to reply. He opened the door of a sleek, black Maybach parked at the curb. Get in, sweetheart, Julian murmured softly to Vivian, his tone shifting from razor-sharp ice to gentle warmth in an instant. Vivian didn't look back. She stepped into the luxury car, letting the door shut out the furious shouts of Ethan and the frantic cries of baby Leo. Inside the car, Ethan's furious face faded into the distance through the tinted glass. Julian sat beside her, taking her cold hand into his broad, warm palm. Are you all right? Vivian looked down at their intertwined fingers. The metallic ring on her left hand felt heavy, yet oddly grounding. I've never felt clearer in my life, she said softly. Julian, thank you. Don't thank me, Julian said, his thumb lightly stroking the back of her hand. I've waited 10 years for this day. The only thing I regret is letting you suffer under that trash's roof for so long. An hour later, the black Maybach pulled up outside Vivian's apartment complex. This wasn't Ethan's apartment. It was Vivian's. 4 years ago, when she and Ethan started dating, Ethan's salary was too low to afford a decent place in the city. Vivian had put down her own savings for the 1-year deposit and signed the lease under her name alone. Ethan had simply moved in with his suitcase, never contributing a single penny toward rent or utilities. When Chloe got divorced 3 months ago, Vivian had felt pity for her and allowed her to move in. Instead of showing gratitude, Ethan and Chloe had gradually turned the place into their personal paradise, slowly squeezing Vivian out until she felt like a trespassing stranger in her own home. Now Vivian was back to take it all. The front door unlocked with a sharp beep. Inside, Ethan and Chloe were sitting on the couch. Chloe was holding an ice pack to her breast, while Ethan was pacing the floor, cursing under his breath. When the door swung open, Ethan's eyes lit up with immediate arrogance. I knew it. Ethan sneered, folding his arms across his chest. I knew you were. Just acting. Married? A Maybach? Vivian, did you really think you could fool me? With a rented car and a fake husband? You came crawling back because you know. You can't live without me. Chloe let out a breath of relief, putting on her usual helpless, pathetic face. Vivian, I'm glad you're back. Ethan was just hot-headed earlier. Go make some tea for him, and let's put this silly drama behind us. Pack your things, Vivian interrupted calmly. Ethan froze. What? Behind Vivian, four tall men in black suits stepped into the apartment, led by Julian's personal assistant, Mark. You have 10 minutes to clear your personal belongings out of Mrs. Vance's property, Mark said in a professional, emotionless tone. After 10 minutes, anything left behind will be thrown directly into the dumpster. Mrs. Vance. Ethan screamed, his face twisting in rage. Vivian, what the hell are you playing at? This is our home. My home, Vivian corrected him, pulling out the lease agreement and rental receipts from her handbag and laying them on the entry table. I paid the deposit. I paid the monthly rent. My name is the only one on the contract. You haven't paid a single dime in 4 years, Ethan. You. Ethan rushed forward, his fists clenching, but before he could reach Vivian, 2 towering security guards stepped in front of him, pinning his arms behind his back with effortless strength. Ow. Let go of me. You're assaulting me. Ethan shrieked in pain. Chloe panicked, dropping her ice pack and scrambling off the couch. Vivian. How can you be so cruel? Where are Leo and I supposed to go in the middle of the day? He's your nephew. He's just a baby. He has a mother. Vivian looked at Chloe with absolute indifference. And, according to Leo, he has a dada right here. Why don't you ask your beloved Ethan to rent a luxury apartment for you too? Chloe's face turned white. She looked at Ethan, a junior manager earning barely $5,000 a month, who spent half his paycheck on video games and gym memberships. He couldn't even afford a decent studio apartment in this district, let alone support a mother and a newborn. 10 minutes start now. Mark checked his gold watch. Movers begin. The 4 men didn't hesitate. They marched into the master bedroom, pulling Ethan's clothes out of the closet and stuffing them into trash bags. They moved Chloe's endless boxes of baby supplies, makeup, and clothes straight out to the hallway. Stop. Don't touch my stuff. Chloe screamed, trying to grab her expensive designer bags that Vivian had bought for her using her own hard-earned bonus money. Ethan thrashed against the guard's grip, glaring at Vivian with bloodshot eyes. Vivian Miller, you will regret this. If you walk out on me today, don't you ever come crawling back on your knees begging me to take you back. Vivian picked up her own small suitcase, the only thing in the apartment that held her memories, and turned her back on him. Don't worry, she said softly, taking Julian's arm. I don't look back at trash. Ethan and Chloe were thrown out onto the street, surrounded by black trash bags containing their belongings. Baby Leo burst into loud, frantic cries from the noise and commotion. Ethan, what do we do now? Chloe sobbed, clutching the baby while sitting on her luggage. Where are we going to sleep tonight? My body is still weak. Ethan was sweating profusely, his mind in total chaos. He pulled out his phone, searching for budget hotels nearby. Shut up. Stop crying. Ethan snapped at her, his usual gentle, doting tone completely gone. Can't you keep the baby quiet for 5 minutes? Chloe flinched, staring at him in utter shock. Ethan, how can you talk to me like that? I'm your sister's. You're not my sister's anything anymore. Ethan roared, his frustration exploding. She married someone else. She kicked us out. It's all because you kept making a scene about your stupid mastitis and forced me to abandon her at the hospital. Me, Chloe gasped, tears streaming down her face, her voice rising into a shriek. You were the one who insisted on sleeping in my room shirtless. You were the one who kept tickling my waist and making fun of my chest. Did I force you to do those things, Ethan Carter? Passers-by stopped to stare, whispering and pointing at the miserable couple, shouting at each other on the sidewalk beside a piles of garbage bags. Without Vivian to act as their silent, long-suffering buffer, the romantic, flirtatious illusion between Ethan and Chloe shattered instantly under the harsh weight of reality. Eventually, Ethan was forced to spend his entire month's savings to rent a cramped, damp, 1-bedroom basement apartment in the outskirts of the city. The air inside the basement smelled of mold and old drainage. There was no elevator, so Ethan had to drag 6 heavy bags up and down 3 flights of stairs by himself. I want formula, Chloe yelled from the tiny bed, her face covered in sweat. Ethan, Leo is hungry. Go make his bottle. Ethan dropped to the floor, exhausted, his muscles aching. Make it yourself. Do. I look like your servant? I'm recovering from childbirth. Chloe shrieked back. Vivian always made the formula in the middle of the night. Why can't you do it? Because Vivian isn't here. Ethan slammed his fist onto the wobbly table. Vivian cooked, cleaned, paid the rent, and ordered the food. You don't do anything except complain and leak milk everywhere. Chloe froze. For the first time, the realization hit her like a cold bucket of water. The comfortable life she had enjoyed for the past 3 months, the clean sheets, the hot chicken soup served every night, the expensive baby formula delivered to the door, the stress-free environment, wasn't provided by Ethan. It had all been provided by Vivian. And now Vivian was gone. While Ethan and Chloe were drowning in dirty diapers, moldy walls, and endless arguments in their basement apartment, Vivian was living in a world she had never dared to imagine. Julian's private residence was a sprawling, sunlit villa on the top of the hill, surrounded by private gardens and absolute tranquility. A team of professional housekeepers looked after everything. Vivian's room was filled with soft, warm light, fresh flowers, and a closet stocked with custom-made clothes in her exact size. Vivian sat on the plush sofa in his study, watching him review documents under the warm lamp. Did you really wait 10 years for me? Julian set his pen down, stood up, and walked over to sit beside her. He reached out, gently tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. 10 years ago, when we were in college, I gave you an umbrella in the rain. Julian murmured, his gray eyes shining with soft, unwavering devotion. You smiled at me and said thank you. I wanted to tell you I liked you then, but my family was going through a major restructuring, and I had to leave the country. He picked up her hand, kissing her knuckles gently. When I came back, you were already with Ethan. I thought he was making you happy, so I stayed in the shadows, playing the friend you could call when things got tough. But every time you walked out of that apartment in tears, my heart tore into pieces. Vivian looked at him, feeling a sweet, overwhelming warmth flood her chest, a contrast to the freezing cold she had endured for 4 years. I won't ever cry like that again, Vivian promised softly, leaning her head against his shoulder. I won't let you, Julian promised back, his arm wrapping securely around her waist. Meanwhile, Ethan's professional life was falling apart. Ethan worked as a senior project manager at a medium-sized tech firm. What he had never told anyone was that 80% of his project proposals, client presentations, and data reports were secretly done by Vivian late at night after she finished her own job. The next morning, Ethan arrived at his office, dark circles under his eyes, looking exhausted. Ethan. His department director slammed a thick file onto his desk. Where is the quarterly presentation for the Vance Group expansion project? The client meeting is in 1 hour. Ethan panicked. He had completely forgotten about it. In the past, Vivian would always leave the finalized slides on his USB drive every Sunday evening. I'm still finalizing the details, director. Finalizing? The director glared at him. This project is worth $30 million. If we lose Vance Group's partnership, you can pack your bags and get out. Ethan ran to the restroom, his hands trembling as he dialed Vivian's number. The number you have dialed is out of service or has blocked your call. He tried calling her on WhatsApp, WeChat, email. Everything was blocked. In a fit of desperation, Ethan pulled out his secondary phone and called her best friend Harper. The call went through. Vivian. Ethan shouted into the receiver before Harper could even speak. Tell Vivian to pick up. I know she's listening. Tell her to send me the presentation file for the Vance project right now. If I lose my job, it's on her. A cold, sarcastic laugh came through the speaker. Ethan Carter. Harper's voice dripped with pure disdain. Are you out of your mind? You forced Vivian to drink until her stomach bled. You left her alone in the ER. You slept with her sister, and now you have the nerve to demand her work. She's my wife. Ethan lied frantically. We just had a small fight. Tell her. She's Mrs. Vance now, you pathetic worm. Harper cut him off cleanly. Oh, by the way, check the company internal portal. I think your director just posted an announcement. Click. The call disconnected. Ethan's heart dropped into a cold pit. He stumbled back to his desk, opening the company intranet. Pinned right at the top of the homepage was an official notice from Vance Group. Termination notice. Due to gross negligence, fraudulent data presentation, and severe professional incompetence exhibited by project manager Ethan Carter, Vance Group hereby immediately cancels all commercial collaborations with his firm. Below the notice was an attached medical report, a clear, scanned copy of Vivian's hospital diagnosis from 2 nights ago. Acute alcohol poisoning, severe gastric bleeding, emergency admission. Along with it were the chat logs of Ethan refusing to sign the surgery consent form stating, She's just playing drama to get attention. Let her take care of the baby. The entire office fell dead silent. Dozens of colleagues turned their heads, staring at Ethan with disgust, horror, and sheer contempt. My God. He actually did that to his girlfriend. He forced her to drink until her stomach bled, then ran off with her sister? What a monster. No wonder Vance Group blacklisted us. The department director marched out of his corner office, his face purple with rage. Ethan Carter. The director pointed a shaking finger at the door. You are fired. Clean out your desk and get out of my building before I call security. Ethan was escorted out of his company by 2 security guards, his personal items dumped unceremoniously into a cardboard box. He stood in the rain outside the skyscraper, holding his box, his phone buzzing relentlessly. It was Chloe. Ethan, where are you? Chloe's screaming voice blasted through the speaker. The landlord is here demanding 6 months of rent up front. He says if we don't pay $10,000 right now, he's throwing Leo's crib onto the street. Send me the money. I don't have $10,000. Ethan screamed back into the rainy street, his sanity snapping completely. I just got fired. Vance Group blacklisted me. I have $0 in my account. What? Chloe's voice cracked in sheer horror. You got fired? Then what am I supposed to do? How am I going to buy formula? How am I going to pay for my postpartum recovery? Go sell your 36E breasts. Ethan shrieked hysterically. Isn't that what you kept bragging about to me in the middle of the night? Go find another idiot to support your bastard child. Ethan Carter, you asshole. You ruined my life. Chloe sobbed hysterically over the line before slamming the phone down. Ethan slumped onto the wet pavement, his hands clutching his head. Just then his phone rang again. It was his mother. Ethan. His mother wept over the phone. What did you do to Vivian? Why are people posting photos of you and Chloe online? Your father's friends are all calling us, asking if you slept with your sister-in-law. The neighbors are throwing trash at our door. The story had gone viral. Harper had leaked the entire saga onto local social media platforms. The 2 a.m. shirtless bedroom scenes, the 36E flirtations, the forced drinking games, the blood coughing, and Ethan's horrific refusal at the ER. Netizens were ruthless. Within 3 hours, Ethan's name, face, former company, and social media accounts were completely exposed. He was officially labeled the top trash man of the year. No company in the city would ever hire him again. No landlord would rent to him. Ethan sat in the pouring rain, looking at his reflection in a puddle. He looked pathetic, ruined, and completely destroyed. And at that exact moment, he saw a massive LED billboard across the street light up. On the screen was a breaking news broadcast from the city's top media outlet. Grand announcement. Mr. Julian Vance, CEO of Vance Group, formally announces his marriage to Miss Vivian Miller. A century-grand wedding will be held at the Royal Palace Hotel at the end of the month. On the screen, a high-resolution photo showed Julian holding Vivian in his arms. Vivian was wearing a stunning white silk dress, a brilliant pink diamond ring on her finger, her face glowing with genuine, radiant happiness. Julian was looking down at her with pure, undivided adoration. Ethan stared at the billboard, his eyes wide, tears mixing with the rain on his face. That was the woman who used to wait up for him until 2 a.m. with warm soup. That was the woman who used to manage his entire life, clean his clothes, and support his dreams. That was the woman he had thrown away like trash for a manipulative, selfish leech. Vivian. Ethan choked out, his chest tearing apart with a late, useless, suffocating regret. I was wrong. Vivian, I was wrong. At the end of the month, the Royal Palace Hotel was decorated in thousands of white roses, crystal chandeliers, and golden ribbons. The wedding of Julian Vance and Vivian Miller was the event of the decade. Every major business leader, politician, and celebrity in the country was in attendance. Vivian stood in the bridal suite, wearing a hand-embroidered lace gown that glittered like stars under the warm lights. Harper was beside her, helping her adjust her veil, her eyes shining with tears of joy. Vivian, you look like an absolute queen. I'm so happy for you. Vivian looked at her reflection in the mirror, smiling softly. Her skin was healthy and glowing, her eyes bright and serene. The pale, exhausted girl who used to starve herself and bleed in silence was completely gone. Suddenly, a commotion sounded from the hotel lobby downstairs. Let me in. I'm her sister. I have a right to be here. Vivian. Vivian, save me. Vivian frowned slightly. She and Julian walked out to the grand balcony, overlooking the entrance hall. Downstairs, 2 unkempt, desperate figures were being held back by 6 heavy security guards. It was Ethan and Chloe. Ethan looked like a homeless beggar. His clothes were filthy and torn, his face pale and gaunt, his eyes sunken. Chloe was carrying a crying, thin baby Leo, her hair matted, wearing a cheap, stained dress, looking desperate and wild. When Chloe saw Vivian standing on the balcony above, she threw herself onto her knees on the marble floor, weeping loudly. Vivian, my sister. I was wrong, Chloe cried, slapping her own face repeatedly, in front of hundreds of high society guests. I was greedy. I was jealous of you. I deliberately used Leo to draw Ethan's attention because I didn't want you to be happier than me. It was all my fault. Please help us. The landlord kicked us out. We have no money for formula. Leo is sick. Ethan also fell to his knees, crawling toward the stairs, his eyes fixed on Vivian. Vivian. I was tricked by her. Ethan wept bitterly, banging his head against the floor until blood trickled down his forehead. She seduced me. She kept showing me her chest and telling me she needed a man. I never loved her, Vivian. The person I love is you. Please, give me one more chance. I'll be your dog. I'll do anything. The guests in the lobby gasped, looking at the kneeling pair with utter disgust and contempt. Julian stepped forward, leaning against the balcony railing, looking down at them like a king looking at two dirty ants. Ethan Carter. Julian's voice echoed through the grand hall, smooth, cold, and absolute. Do you know why I let you two make it into the lobby today? Ethan raised his bloody face, hope flaring in his eyes. Mr. Vance. Because there are two people waiting for you outside. Julian smiled coldly. The heavy glass doors of the hotel swung open. Two police officers stepped inside, accompanied by a sharp-looking man in a tailored gray suit. The man in gray looked directly at Chloe. Chloe Miller, the man said coldly. I am the attorney representing your ex-husband, Mark Davis. We have filed formal criminal charges against you for child neglect, illegal asset concealment during divorce, and financial fraud. We are here to take custody of Leo. Chloe's eyes widened in sheer horror. No. Mark dumped me. He can't take Leo. Two female officers stepped forward, safely taking the crying baby out of Chloe's hands. The primary officer then turned to Ethan, pulling out a pair of silver handcuffs. Ethan Carter, you are under arrest for commercial embezzlement, tax evasion, and deliberate medical endangerment resulting in severe bodily harm. Click. The cold steel handcuffs locked tightly around Ethan's wrists. No. Vivian. Save me. Vivian. Ethan screamed hysterically as the officers dragged him backward toward the police cruiser. I love you. Vivian. Chloe thrashing and shrieking as she was dragged away alongside him, her pathetic curses and cries fading into the cold evening wind outside. They were gone. Completely, permanently removed from Vivian's world. The grand hall fell quiet again. The guests broke into warm, celebratory applause. Julian turned to Vivian, taking both of her hands into his, looking down at her with a gentle, eternal tenderness. Mrs. Vance, Julian murmured softly, his smile radiant under the crystal lights. The trash has been cleared. Shall we start our wedding? Vivian looked at him, feeling her heart flutter with a pure, unadulterated joy she had waited her entire life to feel. She raised her chin, kissed his lips softly in front of the cheering crowd, and smiled. Yes, Mr. Vance. Let's go home. Under the bright, glorious lights of the Royal Palace Hotel, Vivian Miller walked into her new life. A life filled with warmth, respect, and a love that would never, ever let her stand in the cold again.